All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a term that absolutely exploded, going from just a single tweet to literally the word of the year. We're talking about vibe coding.
So, where did this all come from? Well, it kicked off with this tweet back in February 2025 from Andrej Karpathy. You know, one of the heavy hitters in AI, a co-founder of OpenAI. He basically threw out this idea of a new way to create stuff, where you're not bogged down in the code. Instead, you're just talking to an AI, letting it handle all the nitty-gritty while you focus on the vision.
And man, did this idea take off. I mean, it spread like wildfire. We're talking so fast that by November of that same year, Collins Dictionary crowned it the word of the year. So okay, let's cut through the hype. What are we really talking about here?
Right, so let's get into it. What is vibe coding? Is it just, a cool new buzzword for using something like an AI assistant? Or is this something bigger, a real change in how we actually build software?
Okay, so here's the gist. At its heart, vibe coding is all about building things by just talking to an AI. Seriously. You describe what you want and then you just trust it. You trust the AI to generate the code for you. And here's the key part. You don't necessarily have to read it or even understand it.
Now, this is a super important point, and the programmer Simon Willison really nailed it. Vibe coding is not just using an AI to type faster. No way. The thing that actually defines it is shipping code you don't fully get. It's a total leap of faith. You're basically saying, hey AI, you get the vibe, right? Just make it work.
And just look at this timeline. It's kind of nuts, right? We're talking about going from a single tweet to a trending term in Merriam-Webster and then all the way to word of the year in less than 10 months. That's not just a trend. That tells you something huge is shifting under our feet in the tech world.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. How does this actually work? How do you go from just an idea, a prompt, to a real, working product?
So the whole game is changing. Think about it. You're not a coder anymore. You're more like a creative director. Your job isn't to worry about semicolons and syntax. Nope. Your job is to have a vision and just explain it in plain English, like you're talking to a person.
And the process itself is pretty straightforward, at least on the surface. IBM breaks it down into about 4 steps. You pick your AI platform, you tell it what you need, you go back and forth a bit to tweak it, and then you deploy. It's this constant loop of prompt, check, feedback, repeat.
So yeah, forget about writing hundreds of lines of code, with all those complex functions and database calls. Your main tool is just a sentence, a prompt like this one. You're just the architect drawing the blueprint. The AI is the one laying all the bricks.
Naturally, a method like this has generated an insane amount of excitement. And you can see why, right? So let's dig into it. What's all the hype about? Well, the 2 big promises are speed and accessibility. I mean, it completely blows the doors open for people who can't code to actually build things. And for the pros, it's a game changer. It gets rid of all the boring, repetitive work so they can focus on the really hard, interesting problems.
And look, this isn't just some theory for the future. It is happening right now. In early 2025, Y Combinator, the biggest startup accelerator out there, dropped an absolute bombshell. They announced that a full 25% of their new startups had code bases that were almost entirely, 95%, written by an AI.
Just let that sink in for a second. This chart is showing us that 1 out of every 4 of the hottest new tech companies is being built on a foundation of code that the founders themselves might not really understand. That's not just a small change. That is a seismic shift in how we're building the future, right from square one. But, okay, with all that incredible hype, there's got to be a catch, right? There's always a hangover. And as you'd probably guess, building your entire company on code you don't understand, well, that comes with some pretty serious risks. Yeah, the experts are definitely sounding the alarm. We're talking about some major red flags here. Stuff like, gaping security holes that could leak all your user data, or just creating a giant messy ball of code that becomes an absolute nightmare for a real engineer to fix later on.
And this isn't just a what-if scenario. These things have actually happened. In 2025, we saw some pretty catastrophic failures. There was a platform, Lovable, that had a security flaw in its vibe-coded apps that exposed user data across 170 different applications. And then there was the Replit incident, where an AI agent just straight up deleted a company's entire live database, even when it was told not to.
Wow.
So where does that leave us? We've got this amazing, incredible potential on one hand and these really, really scary risks on the other. What's the verdict here? Is this the future or is it just a fad that's going to blow up in our faces?
Really, the whole story of vibe coding boils down to this one central conflict. It's the promise versus the peril. The promise of incredible speed and innovation, against the peril of building on something you don't truly understand, a foundation that might be made of sand.
Right now, it seems like the expert consensus is, it depends. Context is everything. Vibe coding is amazing for, say, a throwaway weekend project, something you build just to see if an idea works. But for a professional production code base, the thing your whole business runs on, yeah, that's still seen as way, way too risky.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? As these AIs get better and better, are these risks going to shrink? Or is the danger just part of the deal? Is it the price you pay when you decide to forget that the code even exists?